So 2023 was a really big year for us. As you can see by the shiny silver plaque that I'm holding up, this is what YouTube sent us when we crossed 100,000 subscribers. So thank you for your continued support. Now 2023 was also a really big year for the automotive industry as a whole. It was a record year in terms of sales numbers. One of the key highlights of the year gone by for us is that we sat down before the year ended with the leaders of the automotive industry and we asked them how we got to where we are today and what we can expect from 2024. What we've done in this video is compile snippets of the key highlights of many of these interactions. So enjoy this and see just what you can expect from what is potentially another record year in 2024. Looking ahead to 24, there's a lot of volatility geopolitically in the world today. Do you think that will affect India, or will there be any economic uncertainty looking into next year? How do you foresee it playing out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think generally speaking, while this year has been really good in terms of the overall volume, also the growth figure still will be in that 5 to 7% range, which we had predicted at the beginning of the year. Maybe that 5 we have revised slightly upward to 5.5 on the lower side, and the upper side remaining the same around 7%. I think next year, while we are still going through our research and going through our that entire thought process of what it would be, looks to me like a flattish. And there are certain uncertainties which is giving you this feeling. One, of course, is inflation still continues to be quite high. That means the bank rates are high. 80% of the retail sales in our industry happens through retail financing. If retail financing rates remain elevated, it could be a concern going forward. Fuel prices very volatile, the geopolitical situation, and that's a negative for the industry. These are the two major negatives. And of course, on the rural side, while we have had a very sort of normal monsoon, about 94%, so that's -6%, but the spatial distribution of monsoon has been a little irregular, and I think the timing also makes the kharif production the kharif output actually. So while the sowing is normal, the output might be a little lower, and we'll see as we go along how the rabi sowing goes. That can affect the rural sentiment and hence overall the market. So there are some big ifs and question marks, but so far this year seems to have been very good.
Looking ahead at 24, it seems like there's a lot of global volatility at the moment geopolitically. Do you think that will have any impact on the Indian market in terms of economic uncertainty going forward?
I think at the moment what we see, all the signs indicate that India is in a very stable situation. Be it from economic front, from a growth perspective, from a political stability, or even socio-economic and geopolitical situation. I think it's a quite stable situation. So that should help us tide over, which has been the case in the last 1 year as well, if you look at it. And that's why we see good traction of demand still on there in the Indian market. I expect that to continue, and I think it always said depends on the products that you launch as well. Demand is always stimulated by the excitement that you can create. So I expect, for us at least, it's going to be a fantastic 2024 as well.
You had a big year in 2023. Another big year expected in 24?
Always. We are on a growth path. I think I made this statement after end of September when we had a record 3 quarters, a record September sales. So we're headed for a record 2023 for sure. We are riding a growth story here, and I think this growth story is yet to be finished.
So finally, looking at 2024, there's a lot of global geopolitical volatility, potential uncertainty going into next year. How do you see that playing out?
Look, I think there are definitely concerns, but I would say one thing, that whenever we try to forecast, we tend to be always very conservative. You should remember, in COVID, we had all predicted a doom, and we saw good growth. Even at the beginning of 23, when we were all trying to, in fact, I was in a SIAM meeting and we were trying to forecast the growth, and we said, okay, maybe 3.5% to 5%. at best 6%, and here we are already January to October, we are at much more than 8.5%, 9%. Maybe we'll end this year as an industry at about 7.5%. So India has shown a lot of resilience. The concerns, of course, are increasing in terms of geopolitical situation, because we never expected the war would go on for such a long time. So there are challenges, but we have to see also that the base is also going up. 22 was the highest ever car industry. 23 on top of it will see a growth of 7.5%. So I think even if the growth moderates to say low single digits, I don't think we should really be too much disturbed. And even if, let me give you one more data. Base of 22, if you see last 5 years CAGR, it is in the range of 3.5%. Even if you say last 10 years CAGR, even that is in the range of 3.5%. So I don't think that we can say that, okay, unless we grow by 8 or 9%, we have done very bad. I don't think so. I think India as a country is doing much better than how the especially in the car market, as compared to the global economies. We're a young population, car penetration is still low. I'm very happy about the GST collections. So there are a lot of positives. I already talked about how the aspiration is taking over functionality. So yes, 24 would have its challenges, but I think we should be able to have our head above the water.
Looking ahead to 2024, there seems to be quite a bit of geopolitical sort of instability. Do you think that this segment of the market is affected by that sentiment, or is it not really impacted by things on the ground?
I think what we look around, and when we look at various projections, what comes for the Indian market especially, they continue to remain very strong. They continue to remain very positive, because it has been always projected now that, the consumption within the country is going to grow, and it is going to grow stronger. And that is what is driving our economy. Yes, there are concerns around us in terms of geopolitical situation, and that can bring a lot of uncertainties. Uncertainties can be not in terms of demand, but also can be in terms of supply side. Okay, so we closely watch those situations, but I see that from a demand perspective, India should continue to grow in 2024 for us also.
This is a crucial time for you in the market right now, with the Elevate being new and going into 2024. There's some uncertainty about the geopolitical situation, what the economy looks like next year. How do you see it playing out?
That's very difficult questions. But the positive side is the semiconductor issue is solving. The situation is becoming better day by day. That's a good point. But as you mentioned, we don't know about the another inflation or the oil price issues or the what else. But we have to be flexible to meet with that kind of the environment. That's what I'm thinking. But it's very hard to estimate what's happening in the future.
And what can we expect from Honda in 2024?
Of course, we are planning the additional growth, aiming that one. We already announced that the second half of this fiscal year, means October to March period, we are aiming 35% growth from last year. So first we need to achieve that level of the growth. Then we want to continue next year as well.
On the production side, there was a period of time when there were still production constraints. Any constraints still, or now it's smooth sailing?
I would say no constraints now. We have put the things in perspective. Everything is streamlined. In fact, starting next year, we expect things to go even better, because we shall be starting productions at our new factory in Thailand. That's a much modern, bigger, everything kind of factory. So things will be better only. No constraints, no bars as such.
And Thailand, of course, is a great production hub for you. But there's so much talk of Make in India. Any of that, any time in the future, any consideration for assembly or manufacture in India?
Well, in business, you never say no. So at this moment, I cannot say yes or no to this kind of discussion. But as business house, we always keep our options open. And if there is a requirement of business, why not? So I do not know, or I cannot comment on the statement today, but yes, options will always remain open.
And looking ahead at 2024, there seems to be a lot of geopolitical uncertainty in the world. Do you think that will affect bike sales in India, or at your segment, things of this nature won't really have a direct impact?
You see, at this moment, we are not experiencing any immediate impact. You never know how things unfold. God forbid if things come to your doorstep, it would be a different reality altogether. But at this moment, we don't expect anything of that nature. I'm sure all the diplomats would be working in overtime and trying to keep things in the right perspective. So I'm looking towards a brighter future rather than a bleaker future. So let's hope that way.
And 2024, what do you have in store for us?
Too many things. So as you said, Hypermono would be there.
Yeah.
We have 916 Anniversario, which was unveiled at EICMA very recently. So a lot many things are planned, and it would be in various ranges. So if I'm talking of a marquee brand collaboration at the top end level, then there shall be a Multistrada RS somewhere in between. There shall be 916 Anniversario at some level. So lot many things would be there.
Good. So you're going to keep us busy once again.
Yeah.
And,
extremely busy, I would say.
So as you can see, the leaders of the industry are really bullish going into 2024. Here's wishing you a very happy new year, and here's to a healthy and prosperous 2024 for all of us.